As anyone that is lucky enough to be able to see can tell you, X-Arm has terrible animation, with its awful combination of 2D and debate level of piss poor CG. For this reason alone, its MyAnimeThis score, hovering just above 2 at the time of this video's recording, is the lowest score that a full-length anime has on the site. And not many anime have a Reddit post coming out immediately after the first episode aired to explain that the anime is not in fact a money laundering scheme. Instead, the poor animation was due to how the anime is being produced, as it is being directed by a live action director who has never worked on anime before. The animation is eye-gougingly bad, but unlike Debate, this anime is based off a manga rather than being an anime original, and the first volume of the manga is fairly enjoyable. Not a masterpiece, but still good. That should bode well for the anime's story, as there are a handful of anime out there that have dodgy CG like Overlord, yet still attract lots of praise due to its amazing source material. However, as you can tell by the title of this video, X-Arms is an abomination of a story adaptation, as demonstrated in its first episode, where it dramatically changes scenes from the manga much to its own detriment. To highlight this, there are 3 direct ways the story is made worse by the adaptation, starting with the exposition dumps, the focus on pointless fight scenes, and the abysmal pacing. To start off with, let us talk about the exposition dumps, and there are a lot of them. In the manga, for comparison, they rarely do this in their first volume, with character motivations and beliefs being shown through their actions, rather than just being bluntly stated by another character. An easy example of this in the anime is they show the destruction of Japan by X-Arm Zero at the very beginning of episode 1. The manga does not do this, forcing the reader to wonder what happened in the 10-year time skip to warrant the dramatically changed world, before it is revealed that Akira, not that Akira, was the one behind it all. Another example of this is how after the fight scene on the docks, they cut away from the aftermath to basically explain the plot of the first episode, with the ironic part of it being that the exposition dump they do was better explained and demonstrated by the part they cut out, as in the manga the main villain of the arc shows up and demonstrates the power of an X-Arm by using it to destroy some police officers, which is a lot more visually appealing to watch rather than have Chike narrate about what an X-Arm is and how dangerous they are, while the villain does some poses as if he was in a bodybuilding contest. This desire to have everything spelled out for the viewer as simply as possible critically undermines the storytelling aspect of the show, as in the manga's first volume you're not meant to know the answers to all the questions the series poses to you. If we jump back to the flashback scene at the start of the first episode, in the manga we don't know what Alma looks like. We don't know about the androids. All we know about the main character is that he wants a girlfriend and hates technology despite being good at it. Yet the anime has to show that his brother is really interested and excited by androids, because the viewer is too stupid to understand that his brother had some involvement with the androids due to it being subtly mentioned as the way he met his girlfriend rather than him drilling it into the viewer's brain that androids are important to this story, so please pay attention to them. Speaking of androids, let us talk about the first fight scene in the show, where Alma, the female android, beats up a bunch of poorly rendered longshoremen. This is a long continuous fight scene, being 1 minute 35 seconds in total, or nearly 8% of the first episode's runtime once the OP and ED are removed. So with it taking up a decent sized portion of the episode, this fight must be narratively important, right? Well, no. This fight scene in the manga was 4 pages long, and was only 8 panels, which is not that many for a fight scene where you usually expect the manga to have a large number of panels dedicated to the details involved to make the punches and kicks feel more realised, and to demonstrate the length of the fight. Furthermore, the end of this fight makes no sense when you actually pause to think about it. In the manga, they are forced onto the boat as a way to escape from the nerve gas the longshoremen are using against them, and as a place to hide for reinforcements to arrive. In the anime, Alma seemingly kills all the longshoremen and then jumps on the boat to wait for the reinforcements for what purpose exactly? She'd eliminated most of the people attacking her, why not simply escape in the opening that she had created? To add to the confusion, the reinforcements that she was apparently asked to wait for only appear for an eye blink with their apparent demise happening off screen, before the anime moves on with Alma and Miyami being suddenly out at sea while the boat is being searched by the main bad guy. This whole section just feels janky and off kilter from a narrative point of view. This is completely down to the director's bizarre decision to extend the fight scene far longer than it should have been, causing viewers to become disorientated from the change in pace. Talking about the pacing of the show, as you can tell from my earlier points, there has been a lot of changes from the manga to the anime, such as the dramatic extension of random fight scenes, and the changes to the introductory flashback scene. So naturally, you would wonder how many chapters this anime adapts in its opening episode, and the answer to that is 4, with it adapting 126 pages. Now those are arbitrary numbers, and are not that useful as they do not give you a true sense of how rushed the series is. So to put the X-Arm adaptation in perspective, in My Hero Academia, another seasonal show of a similar mix of narrative and fight scenes, the first 4 chapters of the manga took up 4 episodes, with the X-Arm adaptation pace being the same as if the Mount Lady fight, and Deku joining UA, were in the same episode, and that is still adapting less pages than X-Arm did. That is nuts, and ultimately means that a lot of the manga's interesting scenes were left on the cutting room floor. A good example to start with is that Akira could not immediately control the ship, and learnt to control it by using the ship to attack 2 incoming smuggler vessels, adding to his character development. Other character development scenes, such as the scenes where the X-Arm 8 user is shown to be a powerful antagonist by murdering security forces, were cut, and without them he comes across as nothing more than a mild irritant to the main cast, with as much effect on the long-term plot as a toad from Konosuba. You just cannot adapt 4 chapters of a manga into a single episode if you want to have a more complex story than a generic isekai or shonen, and that is what the problem of the show is, as it seems to be thinking it is adapting a generic shonen with a bare-bones world, without any complex characters, rather than understanding that a cyberpunk-style world requires nuance and complex characters to make the story work, as otherwise the story adaptation is just as bad as the animation you see on screen. I'm going to wrap this up here, as I think your eyes have suffered enough due to the animation. I doubt many of you who have watched till this point are actually going to watch the anime all the way through. So I'm going to say this, that you, the viewer, deserve better than to watch X-Arms. The X-Arms manga deserves a better adaptation, and if you are interested in the story, read the manga, as it is definitely the best place to enjoy it.